can you see this person's perspective,
Right.
but can you see beyond this barrier that is in front of you right now? And we do get to that place of gratitude and actually appreciation. Now, it takes us refusing to stay in a victim mindset in order to do that.
We not in a victim mindset. I got popcorn topics ready to talk about.
All right.
I missed you
this morning.
I'm
I missed you
okay.
too.
But you know, I didn't. We had an encore last week.
Yeah, we did.
And but you know what?
did.
It's really fun because I was just part of the encore with everybody else.
Isn't it fun to actually be a part of our live? Not like this part of it, but like to be in the mix.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
I like
is.
it too.
And I discover stuff every single day. Every time I do stuff, you know, when I really listen to what happens here, and all of our people are as interactive people. They offer such wisdom too. That's what I love about this group. And you guys, if you just joined us, we are a weekly group that matter. We are an interactive group, a support group, a sharing group, a uncover the nasty skeletons that are hidden away in our spirits. We do this every week around noonish, every Wednesday. Launch date is here. And if we're not here, there will be an encore. And one of these days, it's going to all be in podcast form when I have enough little spare time to make. I'm converting everything right now. But, you know, we are on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and Transcending Turbulence is our mothership. Hi, Teri.
Mothership. Hello. How are you? My bangs are like doing a thing today, but it's all good.
I know, but you did a thing with your hair, and you did a new look.
I did. Well, I just made the length of my hair match my bangs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I posted earlier today. I was cutting a tree limb down the other day, and I poked my eye, so I had to go. I literally just walked in from the eye doctor. I had a little Band-Aid on it this morning because I didn't have a patch. So I went to the doctor. I said, "Do I need a patch?" They said, "You don't need a patch, but we need to give you some antibiotics." And I said, "Okay." So I'm nursing my eyeball.
Oh my gosh.
It's all right.
Sorry.
I'm adulting. Right?
Well,
that's what we do. We do.
In our first little popcorn topic, actually, we have a question that came in about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, "Adulting is hard. I'm not having any fun."
Okay. So adulting,
that's our kickoff.
Adulting, first off, is not hard. It's a choice. Secondly, if you're not having fun, then you're not choosing wisely enough. Because, and I know whoever sent that question will be like, "Damn, she's just going right for the jugular." And I am, because that's what I do. But we don't, it's inappropriate is not the word I'm looking for, but it's unrealistic to think about that as an adult we should have fun 24/7, because we didn't have fun 24/7 as kids. So
I'll say,
you know, there's moderation with stuff. So just like this thing with my eyeball, you know, and the tree limb, I made a choice to cut the limb without goggles. That choice resulted in a branch scratching my eye. Now then, as adulting, I had to make a choice. Do I want to sit and complain about it and be down about it and worry about it? Or do I want to do the adulting thing, go to the eye doctor, make the appointment, go see what they have to say? And turns out, you know, it's a prescription and I'm on my way and I go back Saturday and all is well. None of that was fun. But when we have to adult sometimes. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean that, you know, I can't create things. This is fun for me. So in the middle of an adulting situation, I still get to have fun today.
Amen. Yes.
You know, so sometimes we put too much on the adulting thing where we're like, okay, well now we have to be an adult and all serious, or, you know, but
right.
We also have to create pockets of time just to have fun, you know. Whatever that fun is for you as an adult, maybe it's going to a soccer game or going to a football game or whatever. It also might be throwing frisbee or ball in the backyard with your dog, or it might be coloring, or it might be blowing bubbles.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because I want everybody to take their lives back to when they were a kid. If you have trouble having fun, if you've been called a workaholic, if you have struggled with letting yourself enjoy something and just saying, I'm going to put something on my calendar for me to have fun. I will say that for me, if I go back to childhood, all that stuff was silliness. Every game, every toy had to be educational. Mm-hmm. Everything that television wise, it had to be educational. Books. Okay, you can't just read a bunch of fiction. You've got to read nonfiction. And I realized being raised by educators had its own side of it, but I don't have that funship in, and it's really hard for me. And I have now delivered to myself a Sunday is my day of rest. Nice. My day of joy, my day. And I make myself shut down work, and I give myself a day, and I have to do something fun. Mm-hmm. I have to do something in that day that is fun, even if it's 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And a lot of times our childhoods are modeled, some people have great childhoods and they have lots of fun memories. Some people don't have such great childhoods, but they can cherry pick some fun memories. Mm-hmm. But, our fun as adults isn't necessarily supposed to be like it is as children, because as children, we don't have really, we all have different experiences. We don't have the responsibilities that adults have. In the sense of paying bills and jobs and taking care of, pets and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't mean that as a child, you didn't have responsibilities. And it certainly doesn't mean that you weren't taking care of people, because a lot of us, took care of people as children, which makes us, or tends to lead us to be a little more responsible,
right,
than most other children our ages. And so sometimes that can be challenging, because people, they do feel like, as you just said, Devon, it feels like having fun is silly. It's like, oh, right. It's I'm not going to do that. And it's not silly, fun is fun.
Absolutely. Elizabeth, who joins us, I only remember about 25% of my life before the age of 23 or so. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. Steve Burney is with us. Joyce says, my boxer helps. He might be Mr. Boxer, helps keep me feeling young because he's so lively. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Right.
We have fun built in. My animals obviously are fun. They are a lot of work, but they are fun. And so I've got that. The thing that, and I've got my calendar here, because Teri and I, it takes an act of Congress for our lives to co-join to have a lunch from time to time. And
an act of Congress, or just a choice?
Or just a choice, whichever is. And so, but you know what? And Teri will hold my feet to the fire, and she goes, "You're not having any fun. Come on now. What's going on?" Mm-hmm. And so everybody needs to have those friends who point out, and my ride or die Mona, if she's watching here, she'll go, "You are a workaholic," because that's, and I go, I might be. I went to one of those,
I'm wait a minute. You just said I might be. Y'all heard her. I know you did. I might be.
Yeah.
Miss, it takes an act of Congress. I might be. How about I am?
Okay, I am.
Okay. I am. And there's no judgment with that.
No, there isn't. Speaking of, that is moving on in our little box of topics here. Mm-hmm. Speaking of, you love this one. How do I stop judging? It's my worst quality.
Wait, you froze up on me. How do I stop what?
Judging. How do I stop judging? So funny. It was a great way to kind of move into that. How do I stop judging? It's my worst quality. When someone realizes that they have that, Okay, Steve, thank you very much for laughing. It is true. It's true. Okay, I get that. The workaholic thing, I went to one of those fellowships, and on the wall it had all of these things that, you are a workaholic. There's one of those, the 12s. Everything about being a workaholic, I said, those are all my best qualities. Those are my best qualities of being a workaholic. I said, I liked every part of that thing. I go, okay. So,
well, how do I stop judging? It's my worst quality. Well, there's a question with a judgment.
okay.
So
let's open that can. Open that can.
Like, seriously, you have to look at it and ask yourself, like, is there a reason? Is there a reason why we judge ourselves? Yes. Most people judge themselves because we judge ourselves before the other person has a chance to. That way, we're actually in control of how it affects us, right? If I can judge myself by saying, well, here, Devon, I made you some lunch. It's probably not going to be that good. I think it's a little too salty. But anyway, here you go. I'm already planting seeds inside your head to tell you that I don't even think what I'm giving you is actually good enough. So then if you respond back and go, oh, no, it's great, I can go, well, she's just saying that because she's being nice. Or if you go, wow, it is a little salty, then I can go, well, darn, I tried. Either way, we judge ourselves, initially. So the way that we stop or retrain ourselves from judging is being painfully mindful of just how much we are judging, and not just ourselves, but everybody. You're driving down the street, you look over, you see somebody holding a sign up that says, I'll work for food. If your initial judgment is they probably ain't even homeless. If it's just in your head, stop that track and go, what is that about? Like, because are you living in your truth? If your truth is love, compassion, or being, compassion, empathy and all that, are you living? But we don't have to be judgy about it.
Elizabeth says, I judge myself in ways I'd never judge another. That's because we know ourselves better than anybody else. We know the inside track of that,
Well, we know ourselves better. And if we flip back to the littles, we've got a litany of littles inside us, and they've all got 2 feet apiece. So, I mean, there's how many feet in there kicking our own butts? I mean, we can be so judgy, and we can be judgy about having fun, and we can be judgy about not having fun.
Elizabeth says, and I can be very judgy at times. I thought it was really funny. I relate this to story because I was in some ministry and I was at this church, and this woman that I thought she was giving me the stink eye. I just knew in my head she was a little church lady. I thought she's never been through anything in her life. She was sitting there with her purse, just sitting there, and she had a look on her face. And I was talking to her daughter after the service, and I said, I don't think you're, I said, what, I was just trying to say, hey, I met your mom. And she says, oh yeah. Yeah. She said, well, mom's got a story. And I said, what? She goes, oh yeah. Yeah. She was a stripper. What? And here's this little church lady who was holding her purse. Said, yeah. She was on the pole most of my life. And that's how she raised the money to feed us and take care of us. And I thought to myself, then I met this woman, and she says, man, I'm just so glad to hear truth coming out of the pulpit. She said, and I thought it was totally the opposite of what I thought. Of course, she wasn't still a stripper, but
that you know of. You don't know.
That I know of. I really don't know.
You don't know. But, and if she was, more power to her.
Isn't that crazy? So sometimes we put people's judgment of us on them when they are really just, most of the time, people are really just trying to get by their days.
Well, and the other thing about that, Devon, is that when people are, if you're up in front of somebody and you're talking and it has resonated with them on some way, shape, or form, maybe it's resonated, maybe it's triggered, maybe they're soaking it all in, their facial expressions oftentimes will turn. and when they're taking it in, and they're listening, and their head is having that conversation, and they're engaging, and they can look angry, they can look confused, they can look, puzzled, they can look all kinds of ways. That's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of they're in the moment and they're taking it in. It's kind of like if you go to the doctor and they give you, if they're talking in doctor lingo to you and they give you some sort of information and you're looking at them, like you start off going, hey, how are you? La, la, la. And they start talking, and then you're like, and they could look at you and go, are you okay? And it's like, I'm fine. I'm just listening to what you're saying, because our outward expression is constantly trying to process. We're processors. That's what the brain does.
Right. And what our face looks like, there's a joke or thing, the RBF, the resting face, B face. And people talk about when our face is at rest, do we look pleasant, or do we look like we just ate a bug, or do we look bad? When I think, I look angry. I mean, somehow I do it. And when I write songs with people, I'm sitting in the room and they throw out a line and I think about it, I look like I hate that line more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I've really tried to really watch that. I go, no, I love that line. I'm just trying to think of the next one. Oh, well, you look like you hated that line. And I got that all the time. Hey, Dennis joins us. Hi, Dennis from Iowa. Oh, I'm glad that you like catching the show.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're here.
Being here.
Elizabeth says, oh, Lordy, my face speaks well ahead of my mouth. Well, mine speaks sometimes stuff that I'm not really meaning to say. That is
and I think it just, I think that our thoughts can come out super fast, or our facial expressions can, I've had clients say before, I know I can just tell what you're thinking right now. And I think to myself, there's no way you know what I'm thinking. There's just no way. And so sometimes I'll ask them, I'm like, what am I thinking? And they'll say something, and it's usually self-deprecating. It's usually in the sense of, you just think that, you think, Ella, you think that I'm crazy, or you think that this is silly, or you think da 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 da. And I'm like, and then I will follow that up with, I appreciate that input, but how about you not try to tell me how I need to respond to what you're thinking? Because that's usually because we feel insecure about what we're thinking. So we want to plant that seed in somebody else's head. How many times have any of y'all been in conversations with somebody and they have either said to you or you have said to them, oh, you're going to think this is so weird. You're going to think this is crazy. You're probably going to think I've lost my mind. You're not going to believe this because this is just nuts. And then we follow it. You know, if I said to you, Devon, you're just going to think I am crazy. I think I'm going to write that book. That's my way of saying, that's my way of planting the seed in your head. Because if you come back and go, oh, then I can go see she does think that's crazy.
Yeah. Steve is like, and Joyce is I speak for me sometimes too. And Steve Burney says lots of times, we have those things and we do set up our conversations based on our insecurities. I used to say it as a joke. I hate judgmental people, which made me the ultimate judgmental person.
Right.
And having to, because that was my joke. I go, that's the way I live my life. And I have a lot of people in my life that, I would never judge somebody. I can't stand judgmental people. And I'm like, I go, look, we're all just broken souls trying to get through this world and find our true identity and our true joy. And
it doesn't mean that while you're that soul trying to search, it doesn't mean you can't have fun doing it. Sorry, one of my gray hairs just tried to strangle me and jump in my mouth. Choke me. It doesn't mean that you're trying that you can't have fun doing it. Right. I mean, case in point, walked into the eye doctor today, and the the girl there sitting there said, how are you? Oh, how are you today? Da, 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 da. I said, I'm going to do great. I'm doing great, blah, blah, blah. And then she said, so what's going on? I told her, she goes, oh, goodness. Oh, gosh. I hate that. And I was like, well, I didn't poke my eye out. So that's a good thing. And it's just, we get to soak in some of that stuff, and we get to receive it, we get to soak it in, and we also get to say no thank you. Like, no thank you, I'm not going to do that right now. I appreciate it. Yeah, the truth, poked my eye with a stick.
Oh,
but I didn't blame it on anybody, and I didn't justify it.
Taking
care of it.
Yeah. Taking what happens and taking responsibility for our actions. And, when I realize that judgment happens to us all, whether we admit it or not, even if we're judging the judgy people, we all have upsettedness. We all have little grooves in our brain. We all have things that have happened to us. And I've had people that have said, well, I judge myself far harsher. It's like, well, I've been in conversation with you. You judge people. If you judge yourself harsher than the way you judge other people, I'm like, ooh, because we are set up in our world to compare. We set up ourselves comparison. Where am I to them? Are they getting my goodies?
Yeah.
That comes into it. Or even if you don't think you're of a jealousy thing, you go, but why hasn't it happened for me? Or, that girlfriend gets married to the third wonderful man, and she doesn't seem to understand that she is the one that's causing the issue. And then you go, but why hasn't that happened for me? I just recently had this conversation. It wasn't me, but someone really had this conversation with me, and they were upset about someone in their life that she just keeps finding these wonderful guys, and she doesn't realize what she has. And I can't even meet anybody that's like that. And even that is a judgment statement.
Well, the question I would have is, are you emotionally available?
Oh, so we're going to answer that question. Let's go ahead and go answer that question.
I mean, if we're not meeting the people in our lives that are fulfilling us, you got to look at, we have to be willing to look at if we're emotionally available for that. And the other thing is if we're spending all the time, and this is just if we're spending time sort of looking at everybody else's Easter basket at how many eggs they got, then we're not spending a lot of time collecting our own.
Amen. Linda joins us. Oh my, that's a deep question. Yes, it is. Dennis joins us. I look in the mirror every day and say, who am I better than? And the answer is always nobody, but you can be better than the last time I saw you. So thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Dennis. And Steve's giving us a thumbs up on this part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Making ourselves available and making ourselves the happiest, most complete, full bucketed people that we can be is really important, because most of us go shopping for another relationship with the empty bucket.
Well, and that's I tell people often, like, we have to know what our fits are, right? And I don't mean our fits like pitching a fit, but I mean like our fits. We have to know that when we are in a job, in a relationship, in a self-talking cycle, we have to know what fits us. And if you find that you're true to yourself and you are content and happy with who you are, I can assure you that you will be emotionally available to attract friends, job opportunities, partnerships where people will match that. But we spend a lot of time running around with a cup that has a hole in it because we don't want to take time to fix that hole or repair that hole, not even fix, because that implies that we're broken, and we're not broken. We just have, when I work with people and we talk about our life wall, we're not demolishing the whole wall that we've put up through life. We're going into and pushing on the little bricks. And when we find a brick that's wiggly and woggly or cracks a little bit and falling apart, we are not taking it and tapping out that brick and putting something healthier in there. We're replacing and restoring. So many of us had our identities, we had our fun, we had our sense of self, we had all of that stuff kind of taken away or misplaced when we were younger. And now we have to restore ourselves. And the problem with that for us using our adult brains is that we go into it all judgy. Well, I should be like this by now. Really? Well, who modeled that to you? Who modeled that to you? Nobody, but I'm an adult. I should be this way. Okay, well, you're judging yourself. And instead of woulda, shoulda, coulda, instead of shouldn't all over yourself, commit to doing, if we can commit to griping, moaning, and groaning about not being good enough, we can find time to commit to restoring ourselves. It's a priority. For all the time we've got to judge, we've got more time to be looking at ourselves and being, gentler or softer with ourselves, with our partners, with our kids, with our work, all of that. It really boils down to being a priority, and we can have fun doing it. You just got to know that it's okay to have fun. For one, I don't fall a lot, but when I fall, first I make sure like I'm okay. But my daughter and I will laugh when I fall because I'm a slow motion faller. I've always said if she could get that on tape, we'd win $10,000 or whatever that is off America's Funniest Videos, because we'd win. You got to be able to laugh at ourselves about any and all things that are that allow us not to be judgy.
I agree 8,000,000%. I agree 8,000,000%. Oh, Renee is joining us, and I haven't read this yet. So Walt Whitman said, be curious, not judgmental. We're often taking in physical data with our eyes, that which we can see. What we don't see, we have a tendency to make up a story or fill in the blanks about what we think is going on. We have to ask questions to fill in the blanks.
Absolutely,
well, Renee. That
Absolutely.
Is like, I need to go sit in the corner and play with that.
Well, that's what we do. We create our own narrative out of assumptions. And we do that even with ourselves. If you have a childhood and you don't remember all your childhood, we will fill in the blanks. Not necessarily with singing our praises, but we often will just sort of fill in the blanks. And most of the time for us as adults, that leans on the side of we're not quite good enough. And if we as adults are creating that narrative, why not love the shit out of yourself and create I'm an absolutely good enough, I'm actually better than good enough narrative.
I love it. Regina says, I don't change myself because of people. If they don't like me my way, I am who I am. And Regina, that's pretty darn awesome that you are that confident. And I applaud that in you. And I think we all need to be sure of who we are. I think that's where it starts, is like, know yourself, to thine own self be true. It goes on and on and on. But most people are those bricks get loose most often because it's part of us that we don't know, or we have not gotten to know. Or we've hidden, and we go, well, this doesn't fit in with other people's whatever. This isn't good enough. So honest to goodness.
And sometimes we attract friendships and partnerships and jobs into our life that we attract them when we're at about a solid 60%. And then we keep moving and expanding ourselves. And then when you're 80%, some of those things might not actually fit. Some of those things might not be good fits for you. It doesn't mean that they're not pleasant. It doesn't mean they're not lovely. It doesn't mean that you have to judge yourself. It just means that you've evolved and now you have to reassess.
Last comment on the show. I love that. I use serenity prayer to remind myself of what I cannot control or change each day. Brilliant. That's true.
Yeah. So, being true to ourselves is important, but more than that, not judging ourselves for not knowing who we are is far more important. That's the most important first step.
Okay, I said last comment, but this is good. I can control how I speak to myself.
100%, Elizabeth.
Oh, that's the bow. Thank you.
100%.
That's the bow for the show.
And it's a process. It's a process. And if we weren't modeled it, hold that space for you now. And you learn how to be as kind to yourself as you would be to a friend, to a partner, to your dog, to the cat, to the neighbor, to your pastor, your preacher, your minister, your priest. You be as kind to yourself as you would be to any of those other people. Unless you're treating other people like shit, and then don't be that kind to yourself. Don't do that to yourself.
Don't do that.
But think about it,
Yeah. Hey, I have the popcorn topics ready for next time we get together. So send us more. You guys send great questions and great thought processes. devonoday@gmail.com. Or you can leave us a comment on any of our pages where we are today. Follow, subscribe, and share. And we love here. We love you being here. And whether it's an encore presentation and the creek don't rise, we're going to be here on Wednesdays midday to kind of get together. This is our own little self-help group, and it's interactive, and it's a good show because you guys are here.
It's a great show.
It is. It's what we do.
It's so good. I love it.
People are good. Well, put a bow on it, baby.
All righty. Well, as always, we appreciate all of you joining us, humoring us when we go off on our tangents, and we love the input that you put in. If you have anything you want to unpack, send it to one of us. We'll unpack. We love unpacking. And if you don't feel comfortable with your name being used, that's okay. We won't use it. I'll say it's my idea. I'm good stepping in front of that bus. And otherwise, I guess until we see you all next week, or at least, do we really see them? You see them more than I see them. I see you. You see comments. So until we all get together again.
There we go.
There you go. Create intentional moments that tip your scales in favor of a beautiful and peace-filled day. Increase your peace. See ya.